Okay, we are finally at round 3 and we can see that the USA takes down Norway. In the time Norway didn't have Magnus Carlsen. Argentina, that we will see the game of Guinea, is able to win Yugoslavia. And Holland is also able to win England. Clearly beautiful encounters, and it must have been tiring to play more than 10 hours of chess. So, with that said, so Guimard is white from Argentina and plays against Kostic from Yugoslavia. Carlos Guimard was 24 years old, reigning champion of Argentina, yet he was ranked number 4 in the Olympic team. So it seems they gave him the fourth board, behind Piazzini, Jacopo Bolbocam and Grau. Grau is famous for a series of chess manual about the middle game, if I remember well. The following fine game was played at board 3, for Piazzini was resting, and as Vukovic of Yugoslavia was also taking a round off. It was in fact a battle between two number 4s. Very interesting. So Guimard starts with d4, knight f6, knight f3, d5, c4, c6. The Slav was all the rage in the late 40s. Everyone right down to club level believed it to be the final answer to the Queen's Gambit, for it had been explored in depth in the 1935 World Championship match, in which both Ov and Alekhine had adopted repeatedly. e3, the natural line, allowing a simple recapture at c4. The alternative would be knight c3, and it says, which allow black to become active by taking the c pawn and failing to keep it. See page 34. So it seems at page 34, round 13, we have a game between Petrov from Latvia against Piazzini from Argentina, in which for knight c3 is being played. And we will watch that game because it's just 27 moves long, but it will be later. Okay, for now let's watch Guimard. So e3, e6. As you can see, it's a really beautiful game because it can, thanks to the big work of research and finding the score sheets, it shows us history that was lost. Bishop d3, knight bd7, knight c3, and bishop d6. Most players were content with bishop e7, this one. But Kostic is playing for e5. His formation is now an inverted collie. Okay, collie, for which we also have seen a book, right? Castle, castle, e4, d takes c4, bishop takes c4, e5. This was Kostic's plan for equality, but in fact white retains a strong initiative. Bishop g5, pinning the knight f6, queen e7, d5. This is good, h6, bishop h4, and knight b6, attacking the bishop c4. The knight goes out of play here, but black must release his queenside pieces somehow. Bishop b3, rook d8, queen c2, bishop g4, d takes c6, b takes c6. The organic weakness thus created in the black queenside is what eventually loses this game, albeit after a lot of play on the other wing. Yeah, because now he has obviously two isolated pawns that can become targets. Yeah. Queen d1 attacking, sorry, not queen d1, knight d1 attacking the pawn c6. Bishop takes f3. The pros and cons of this move, as always, have to be carefully weighed. White's pawns are left split and double, but the g-file will be the highway for his rooks. Yeah, obviously the problem is that you have opened a g-file, probably white will use it to attack your king. So g takes f3, queen d7, probably aiming at this. Interesting play, black protects his c-pawn and takes a grip on the weakened white square, at the same time inviting white to do exactly the same thing to his own kingside pawns. He argues that a fully open g-file will be less of a menace than the half-open one. So he's letting white take here and create the same pawn structure and the same square weaknesses. So it seems black thought he would be able to neutralize it with his own rooks. I don't know. Not a good idea. Bishop takes f6, g takes f6, king h1, king h7, rook g1, queen h3, rook g3, queen f1, rook g1, queen h3, and now queen e2. Boom! So he avoided the repetition. Rook g8, knight e3, queen h5, and knight f5. Beautiful. Now I think we know who has the advantage, because this is out of the game. This is not doing much. This is attacking here, and this is a nice outpost. Really, it's in a beautiful place. So the difference of activity probably can create the final result of a game. So what does it say? A mighty knight, in comparison with its black counterpart, looks pathetic indeed. Indeed, indeed. Bishop c5, also attacking here, and knight g3. Suddenly, the black queen is in serious trouble. She cannot continue to protect f7 with queen g6 because of f4. Wow. Interesting. So the problem is this: track, track, and track. And where do you go? Where do you go? It's over. Interesting, huh? How things can be so tricky. So what did he do? queen h3, bishop takes f7. Okay, so that's the problem. He had to give up the pawn, and then the problem is g8. You're giving up also the square, so you cannot really double up. Bishop b3, rook d8, knight f5, rook g5. Very good move. As you can see, we are witnessing beautiful chess, because he's trying to close the g file some way, because he understood that he lost the battle there. And here there is a comment. He says he must continue to contest the file as best he can. Yeah, unfortunately. Rook takes g5, h takes g5. So notice this thing. Of course, it would have not been possible f takes g5, because this would have become a little shaky. But this is an advantage, because now the h file is open and white doesn't have control over h8. But unfortunately, that knight is kind of annoying. Yeah. Rook g1. Like I said, king g6. For the moment the file is closed, but white can methodically crack the position open with h4 in due course, obviously. Meanwhile, the king on g6 is under uncomfortably close observation from 3 white pieces, 1, 2 and 3. Let's see what happens. Rook g3, queen h5, king g2, rook h8. This show of attack on the h file is no more than a defiant gesture. Why? Because h4. That's interesting. He cannot take because it's pin, right? And this is controlling that. So this is starting to look shaky. Bishop d4. And here, this is why this book is really great, because now you see the famous principle of the 2 weaknesses. White has fixed the weakness on this side, but in order to win, you need to create another weakness. So what would you play as white? Here, this is very, very important. And the move is a4. Guimard's last 2 moves demonstrate his masterly sight of the old board. With the king side sufficiently stabilized, he now proposes to shift the black knight and then bring his queen via the weak queen side round behind the black lines for the final knockout. Let's see what happens. Queen h7, queen d2, again threatening the g5 square. You should have not played h takes g5, okay? And here they tell you why. What happens if you play this? Obviously there is checkmate. So that's one of the reasons. But the point here is this. After this move, he can play this, takes, and he can give a checkmate. I don't know if you see it, because this is control. Once the queen is there, there are no squares where he can escape. So rook takes g5 is the threat after queen d2, okay? So obviously black needs to go back to defend that point with queen h5. But at this point white gains a tempo, attacking again. Knight d7, queen b4, Now it's going behind. Knight c5, trying to control this. What would you play here as white? Try to pause the video and think. The move is queen c4. Is obviously threatening checkmate. Knight takes b3. But again, what would you play as white? Oh, it's really beautiful, really beautiful here, because practically black is crashing. Why? Because there is rook takes g5. Boom! Amazing. So if it takes queen e6 enter, notice this, it will lead to checkmate, okay? So what can he do? It seems the only move we found was queen takes g5, h takes g5. Things are not finished for black. Knight takes a5, queen b4, bishop b6, and queen e7, and the game is finally over, because black will not be able to stop what's coming. I really think it's a beautiful game. I'm very happy to have this book. And here in the end it says, in the fourth round Poland established themselves firmly at the top by a second successive 4-0 win, this time at the expense of Scotland. Though Tartakova required 94 moves and a bit of luck to squeeze the full point out of Aitken. And it seems that game is at page 177. Argentina and Hungary, by holding each other to a drawn match, each move a little down the table. Hungary to a deceptive 7th. Because of the 4 5-hour sessions, adjourned games were few, and they were all cleared up in the evening session. And so this ends up the report for round 3.